Well, you know what? It would have helped if I had turned on my mic. Anyway, welcome to Beasts of Pat Paints. It's our 400 show. You would think that after 400 of these things, I would know how to operate my equipment, but sometimes I don't. I'm not sure if that's like some sort of unconscious protest on my part, or I'm just not very good at it. Maybe a mix of both. So grab yourself something to drink, hang out with us, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We need those. The more of those, the better, right? Trying to get YouTube to pay me money for art supplies. Like, how awesome would that be? Where you could get some art supplies, you know, from YouTube's paying it because you guys watch my stuff. That seems like the coolest thing that could ever. Like, I would be so excited about that. Man, I'm thinking we need a new palette. I think we need a new palette. We need to get rid of what we got and just start this whole thing over. Oh no. My chat just disappeared. That's not a good thing. Hey, Connor's on. I do have chat on my phone, so I guess I'm going to watch that over here. I don't know. My chat just dropped off on my computer side, and I don't know why. Should not make any sense. Oh well. We're not going to worry about it today. We're just going to watch this side of the chat. Yeah. Uh-oh, it's correct, sir. We're going to do the best we can, though. I am a little... So, if... Oh, wait, finally... What are we doing? What is happening? What is happening? What are you doing, computer? I don't know. Okay. Come on. Google, let me sign in. Quit playing games. You know what? I am not going to stress it. We'll deal with it another time. I'm just going to open this up. We'll keep a look on the phone because that's going to be a whole lot better than trying to sign in to Google in the middle of all this. So we got all these other things done up, which is great. I finished this guy yesterday. He's looking fantastic. Really excited about that piece. Really love this new grass. I love the color of that. It's so fun. So he turned it really well. Did a little bit of highlighting on the individual fan blades there. Put a little bit of yellow and green wash on his on these little horns and the goo on there. And just overall, yeah, cleaned up the mall and finished up all the little sundry things we were working on. So it's done. And then I also finished up this guy. I still need to do his face. I need to do the eyes on him and the nerdling. But I did a little bit of like a tarnished bronze. Try to give it that green tarnished look in the crevices, which kind of worked out okay. I think I might do just a tiny little bit of black wash on it, just to give it some schmitzies. But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape with that guy too. So we are seriously almost done with that card. All we have left is basing a few things, a few little touch-ups on some pieces, and the Lord of Contagion. This guy looks great. Really, really so handsome. He's so handsome. But he's going to look great. I think, like I was saying, I think what I want to do is I want to do him almost in like a white or a bone color, and then we'll wash it to bring out the rest of the stuff. That way he looks more like he was an older member of the Death Guard, because Death Guard's pre-heresy colors wear white on the armor with a green on their pauldrons. So I'm gonna do that, which I think will look really, really cool. I'm looking for this guy. So we are gonna change. So we're gonna change this palette. I just got a new thing of papers and everything, so that's exciting. And for those of you who don't know, I keep this rubber ball, or this, it's not even rubber, it's rubber now, but this is just solid paint splotches off of palettes. So anytime I get done with a palette and I can remember and I have enough wet paint to do it with, I collect it on this. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Eventually I'll probably cut it open or something and we'll look at it. But so there's some excitement for those of you who don't watch this channel often, or who haven't, or who are new. That's one of the fun little, I don't know why I do it, but I've been collecting that ball of paint now for years and years. It takes a while to get that big. It's a really big ball of paint, especially when you're only putting like little bits on at a time. So anyway, we have a brand new box. We have brushes on the floor. So I got myself a brand new box of stuff for this kit, which is cool. If you've never used these things, they're pretty nifty. Highly recommend them. Oh man, yeah. Nice whole brand new pack of papers. Oh. They come with these nice little, this little foam piece, right? You set it in a reservoir, and you can make this at home. I've made them with paper towels and parchment paper out of your cabinet in the kitchen. So you can make a low budget of this pretty easily. And the whole idea is to keep your paints from drying out on your palette as you go, and like it can kind of hold things if you can keep it wet enough and keep it tight enough. Overnight, it can hold your paints for the next day or so. Which is pretty cool. That's pretty nice. It's all shiny and white. I'm not. I forgot what they look like when they're all white. Mine are. My old ones are pretty. That's pretty gross. That's lots of brown wash getting in them and other colors seeping through. But what I really needed, it's nice to have the new hydration foams, but what I really needed was the perfectly cut parchment paper. And this parchment paper is really good quality. It's not exactly like the stuff you buy for kitchens. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same. So it's nice. Polish out all the little bubbles. Let's sit there. There we go. Okay. So, we're talking about like a bone white for the armor. Easiest way to get there is with some Naples yellow. And a little bit of titanium white. I do have a new tube of this, but I try to use up. It's getting hard to squeeze anything out of this one, but I try to use it all up before I toss a tube. I once knew a guy who got so obsessed with paint tubes, he'd cut them open and get the last little bits of paint out of them. I don't know that I'm that crazy yet. It feels like the older I get, the crazier I get. You get a little touch weird as you get older. I think that's normal though, right? I think you're supposed to get a little weird. If you don't, it feels like maybe you're doing it wrong. Alright. So I don't want this exactly just plain old Naples. It's going to be too yellow. And we usually use that for bone, but we want this to look like a bone white paint. Something that was manufactured to look that way. Yeah. Just a little bit cleaner. This actual Polar actually could end up green. I don't know why I started with this. Is it this one or is it this one? Actually, I think that one's supposed to be green. We'll have to look that up. Anyway, we'll get back to that one. I hear a lot of people say they don't like painting white. It's because it's doesn't go on well. And I hear you. I think a lot of times what you're doing is you need to mix your white with something else to get it to do that. To get it to paint the way you want it. Because like straight white itself is the pigments that are used to make it are often chalky and they're not not as smooth to apply as certain other ones. That's why I like that Naples. That Naples yellow is a very smooth coat of pigment. You know, I mean, the paint itself, the medium that's in the paint is all the same. But the pigment, what actually gives it the color, not what gives it the flow and the body, but the color is fantastic. And it's got a great coverage, so you can kind of avoid some of the chalkiness with just a tiny mix. Try to get deep in there if you can. That arm does in fact go all the way up, even if you can't see it. Now this one seems weird because like we're painting white on all this stuff we zenithal, but it is still actually going to come through. It's going to be very subtle and hard to detect until we start putting our washes on. But once the washes go on, we're going to do it. Hey, good morning. Sorry, we're having some problems with the chat function. I can't see anything, so hello everybody. Good to see Fionn and Silver Scratch. I smell the stench of popping herbal. I'm trying some files on purple site right now. Oh, on Colts 3D purple site. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Purple site. Yeah, Colts is cool. If you have any questions on that, throw them over on the Discord, and I'll get to them after the show if I get some time. I know a lot about 3D printing at this point, mostly through trial and error. So I've learned quite a bit about it, messing with them. And I've had, let's see, what generation am I on now? I'm on like the Elgu Mars 4 or 5. I think it's a 5. Anyway, and I got an Elgu 1, Mars 1, so I've been with them for several iterations now. It's an interesting technology. Oh, I hate not having chat over there where I can just look at it. That's crazy. JJ's back. Hey, JJ. My chat's kind of malfunctioning, so I'm trying to watch them on my phone as I go instead of having them on my heads up. So if I miss some chats, I do apologize. Anyway, fun stuff. We're now at episode 400 officially. I think there's more, but I think I messed up the count. And I know there's some like weekend episodes that were like not in the main count, but it's pretty cool. Can't believe I made it that far. I thought for sure I wasn't gonna like it. My friends were all like, "No, you'll love it, you'll love it." I'm like, I don't know, guys. Doesn't seem like my gig. But I've come to really enjoy this. We can do some chipping on this too. It'll be fun. A little chipping effect. Death card is so weird. Like that cable is snapped and it's bothering me. I'm like, why is that cable snapped? I'm like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be because it's death card. I thought I broke it or something. No, it's just not like that. Like, how did I break? Oh no, it's not. Hey, dinner's always nice. I was out driving this morning doing the money making thing, so I rarely get to watch things in the morning. This thing's got so many cool little details. Little tentacle down here. He's like stepping on a nerdlings. Like there's at least 2 in there, I think. 3, 4. I don't bang a nerdlings. He's just crunching them. Really is a cool model. I'm super excited about it. Oh, goodness sakes. Slowly kind of pull out all that armor. It kind of looks funky in white. It's last time I painted white scars, the same. I've had the same uneasy feeling. Like, oh, why am I painting? Oh, it does. It feels wrong. It somehow feels wrong. You're like, what? What? I mean, that's an off-white. I mixed a little bit of Naples yellow in it to give it kind of that bone look. Slide in all those little crevices and points that you can. A lot of this is going to get taken up with these washes. We're going to get a lot of our saturation there. But again, like I said, the zenithal highlight is going to help a little bit. It's going to stand out. I went ahead and painted this thing white anyway. I don't know which color is going to be the green one. One of them is going to be end up green. We can just go ahead and throw that base color down anyway and then drop the green on top. It'll look great. It'll actually look probably more like it was painted onto the already white ceramite, I believe is what the Is that right? I can't remember what they make their arm, the Space Marine armor out of. There's a name to it. I have names for everything. Oh wait, that's his cloak. What am I doing? Come off there. I thought that was armor. I'm tripping. I thought I was in the front. Ah. Have one of those days. I keep thinking I'm doing better, and then I do something really weird. And I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling better. But I think the allergy season is finally winding down out here, which is great. That stuff kicks my butt. Okay, there's the front. It's because he's got this big weird knife on his head. That's what I get for doing too much talking and not paying attention. Let's see. Vietnam. Oh wow, that's cool. I love. I'm a big fan of Vietnamese coffee. Oh, that really heavy pressed coffee with the sweetened condensed milk. Oh God. We have a little banh mi spot in the city that makes it. That's really good. And they make great sandwiches too. Oh, banh mi is so good. Now I'm salivating. I just ate and I'm already hungry again. His whole guts are out there. That's all guts. Make sure I got all the spots of the armor I want to get here. Super careful with the thickness of your paint. Don't oversaturate these little holes or anything like that where you're might be worried about it filling in the gap too much. That again was part of this. Man, I feel like I need to drop the magenta down so I can paint that cloak, so I'll stop messing with it. Oh, I'm gonna have to go. Now I'm gonna have to go to Lee's and get a coffee. Ooh, actually, I might have some in my freezer. And I mean, I do have the setup, but I don't really want to do all that work. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work. I don't know if I actually have any French press coffee. It's not even French press. It's like that fun drip thing you put on top of the cups. It's really neat. If you've never had Vietnamese coffee, I highly recommend it. If that isn't coming through clear enough. Probably don't actually need any more coffee. I am probably caffeinated enough. I stay pretty caffeinated all the time. Leftover from my chef life. switch versus. Yeah, Vietnamese. Yeah. That coffee's so good. My one of my chef mentors was from Laos, which is a little bit different than Vietnamese. Man, that's where I got hooked on that coffee. Said he'd drink that stuff like it was going out of style. That and lemongrass. I got so hooked on lemongrass from Chef Lupa that I have lemongrass growing at my house. I planted lemongrass in Oklahoma so I could have it, and I didn't have to keep going to the store to get it. Because I got to go like all the way into the city to get lemongrass, any kind of lemongrass. So it's just easier to grow it in a container. Out, you know. Okay, let's see. I kind of like that idea of throwing that cloak on. And we need to. Where's that pale terracotta? So I'll put some dark color over here. Right there, and now they've moved on me. I hate when I do that to myself. I'll move something and I'll forget what to do with it. I'm like, man, I needed that. I'll put it back in here. Well, this is close enough. Alright, so this is Pale Rose Blush, which is so close to the terracotta I usually use that you almost can't tell the difference. And of course, I said that and I found it. See, as soon as I went and got the other paint, this one showed up because it's like, no, use me. But they're really very close together. If you want to make something paler, oh, my fingers, these closures. I need to spend a day in here cleaning again. Oh. Alright, so this is Pale Rose Blush, and that is Pale Terracotta. So they're like almost the exact same. This one's a little bit paler. So if you're looking for like way pale colors, this one's the way to go. If you're looking for that pale Caucasian fleshy tone. And I actually find it, even if I do want to change the tones on it, put a little bit of this into whatever tones it is, because it's a great, and it works great for a bunch of other like undercoats. The Pale Terracotta is so good undercoat for yellow. If you want to make something look like a nice bright yellow, if you want to make that yellow come out of, you know, this yellow, then you want to put this under it, because otherwise it doesn't actually look like that. And there's the reasons why it's that way. I just don't remember exactly all the hoopla about how it works. Craft paint? No, these are not craft paints. These are fine artist acrylics. So they're like. They're it's what I used to use when I did canvas painting. And if I get around to doing any more canvas painting, it'd be the same paints I use on canvas painting. So it's a higher end acrylic. It does come out thick like a craft paint, so you do have to water it down yourself. Like the pigments that they use in craft paints and the mediums that they use in craft paints are not the same as they are in your artist style acrylics. So and I use primarily Winsor and Newton and Golden. Golden is a great one. These are, like I said, it's not a. It looks like a craft paint, but it is way more expensive than craft paint. And I also use some oil paints. I'll use oil paints here and there too. I love the way an oil paint can create texture. Just like you can get oil paints to stand up on things, and then I'll use oil paints on some washes if I want it to have like a oily, grimy kind of wash. Oil paint and stuff works out really well for things like that. Okay, so I'm gonna knock out all this. It looks like his guts have fallen out. Just base coat that up in this pale terracotta. Really trying to get a look at what all got in there, because he's got a massive distended belly. Looks like it's all fallen out. Some sort of a sash attached to something there. We'll come back and paint that magenta. Don't worry too much about getting too far into the dark crevices, but we do want to make sure we get plenty of good color on there. Crush all our nerdlings underneath. We'll give them a coat. Yeah, I used to keep two different kinds of paints. I used to keep a bunch of like your standard miniature paint stuff along with all my regular acrylics. And then one day I just stopped and I just started using all of my expensive art paints on miniatures, and I was like, man, this works out so much better. I don't have to buy two different paints. The price really isn't that much difference overall once you account from being thinned way down. But yeah, all the stuff I use is for the most part gonna be a heavy bodied acrylic. I just like having more play. Some stuff, sometimes you really want a much thicker paint than your miniature companies supply you with. They really like those paints way thinned down. And I like to be able to get in there and thin stuff out myself. Right. These base coats in. These little squish nerdlings are all over the place under here. It's hilarious. Get this base in, coat in, a couple of washes will bring a lot of that out and we can pick out the details. Okay. I know there's some more tentacles. There's that. Placeholder there. Make sure the color's got somewhere to be, and then let's go bold. Let's get some color in here. Some bold strikes. Bam, bam, bam. So you'd be in a situation like this where you're doing these big coverage areas. You'd be glad to have that thicker body where you can really get it to spread down across there and get some really good coverage in a single coat. Now, of course, you gotta kind of know what you're doing, and you don't want it too thick because it'll leave streaks. But I find a lot of times the model paints sometimes are just so dang thin. You're putting 4 or 5 coats on something that only needed 2. And everything varies from places, you know, company to company, of course. And you should always paint, in my opinion, you should always paint with the things that you're most comfortable with. Yeah, I didn't get your hands to be so still. Well, I was a chef, so I learned with it. You learn when a knife is in your hands to be super steady with where the other hand is. So there's that hand-eye coordination really amps up as you expand that career, especially when you get into like butchering and stuff like that, when you're almost having to cut things you can't actually see, so you have to know where the tool is. So I definitely thank my chef days for some of my skills these days. And a lot of keeping your streaks down. You notice I kind of like outline something and then I start pulling everything down into the same direction. Those techniques are the things that are going to keep you from getting your streaks from looking weird. You know, if they're all one direction, then it looks like light, or it looks like water stain, or there's lots of things that it plays in the mind, and people's brains will translate it. Now, if it's a edgy word, you know, jagged thing, unless it looks like something in particular, the mind looks at it and says that's wrong, and it sees that it's paint, and then people go, oh, you know, it breaks that suspension of disbelief, where you can look at it and say, oh wow, it looks real. But if your strokes are weird, or you copy paints, or certain things can break that spell. And it will probably need 2 coats. It usually does. Magenta is a pretty thin pigment. I keep saying those words, and you remember that your paints are basically made out of 2 different things: pigment and medium. So your pigment is whatever the actual coloration things that they're using are. So the actual magenta color powder or fleck or whatever they put in it to make the paint magenta. And then the medium is the actual body of the paint itself, what makes the paint stand up, you know what I mean, and not just be, you know, tempera powder or something. I like the idea of making this little sash in here magenta. Some misstrokes real quick. If you see a misstroke, don't freak out. Just get a little water. Get over there and get it fixed. As long as you're allowing proper dry times in between all your layers, you should be good to go. Make sure that, remember that dry time is super important. It's really hard to explain how important that is. Okay. I feel like we probably need to do one more coat of that bone white before we start putting any washes on it. So we're gonna mix up another little bit of that creamy white color. I'll tell you another little trick that a lot of people discount and they don't think about is rolling that tip on your paint brush. This one's kind of currently a little overloaded because I just mixed those paints up in it. But make sure you curl, you give that twist as you're coming away from your palette. It seems like such a weird little thing that shouldn't make such a difference. But it really does, because it's what's going to give you the tip and edge to your paintbrush itself. Kind of like sharpening a pencil, if you think of it like that. Let's see, and that one looks fine. And that one looks pretty good. We're going to do a little touch up on some of these places where it could use a little more. Like I said, I'm not sure. One of these is going to end up being green. I'll just have to look at it and see which one in a minute. I'm not terribly worried about it right now. I can always drop a green over the top of that bone. Will set up pretty fast and easy, so it's not something we have to be terribly worried about. We do want to make sure that this armor comes out that bone white color. Really, for the good, we're like 45 minutes. I want to try to get some of the washes started on this before we get off the air today. So I feel like I'm racing the clock. Now, tight quarters, you don't have to worry so much about brush strokes. Try to keep them pretty organized, but if it's real tight in there, your eye isn't going to catch that. You really have to worry about your brush strokes when you're in large open areas. Capes, wings, when we get around to doing this Space Marine, regular Space Marines, instead of Chaos Marines, there'll be a little bit more need to worry about it, because they'll have a little bit more of that stuff going on. Smoother areas and pretty good shape. A lot of that. There, just put a little bit of color down in there. A lot of these details in here are so obscured as far as like how you view the model. I'm not terribly worried about it, but I also am one of those guys that like to paint all that stuff in. Nice. I'll take the Duncan Rhodes reference for sure. Okay. Maybe a little bit more on that. Yeah, I got so like all my art training is more classical training. My aunt was I guess still is. I don't think she's actually retired yet, but she's a painter in New Mexico, and we used to go in the summers, and Aunt Kathy would teach you if you wanted to learn how to paint something, she'd teach you how to do it. She had a lot of old canvases that, you know, had half painted stuff on there, and you could kind of goof off and on things and learn how different paints and different materials worked on different other materials, and it was great. That's how I learned from an artist sitting in a studio in Taos, New Mexico. How blessed and charmed is that, huh? Dang allergies. I'm gonna be so glad when the winter gets here and all this dang ragweed has to go dormant for a little while. I try not to begrudge it its life, but dang, y'all, it kicks my booty. Okay, now oh golly, paint tubes in my old hands. There we go. Yeah, I don't think they make a mothership of like this for craft paints. That thing's a huge tube of paint. That's like a profession. That's professional. That's the professional size. It's way. It's huge. Might not make it all the way to putting that wash on today. We may be pushing that until tomorrow. We'll see. See how fast I go. I still got like 10 minutes. Doing all of this will definitely help you kind of see all the little things that need to get finished up pretty quickly and easily. Oof, gotta make a decision about that horn. What color do we want to paint the horn? That's a shiv of metal. So we can just make it a regular metal, or we could make it a bronze, we can make it a... Yeah, I wouldn't want to make it copper, because, you know, copper's really soft. That doesn't really make any sense. But man, we could make it all sorts of kind of fun colors. Definitely need to look up and see which side pauldron is marked from the old Death Guard. Very slowly. Very gently. I like this idea of really making him look like he's a Heresy era corrupted Death Guard. Really makes him a super old Marine. Even though he might not know that himself, the Marine, the way that warp works, if you follow 40K, some of the Chaos Marines, like the Horus Heresy, was only, you know, a couple hundred years ago to them, and it's like been 10,000 years. But in the warp, time is different, so like their perception of time is all messed up. So the way they perceive it's only been a couple hundred years, which is weird to think about, you know, people living that long. But Space Marines have an extra long life to them, so they get to do that. Yeah, you know, gotta lay them down when they come. I like dropping as many little quotes and stuff like that as I can. I love quoting movies, is my favorite. I'm actually I'm pretty good at movie quoting trivia. Go out to the bar. If it's a trivia night and it's on movies, I'm probably gonna nail it. I'm usually pretty good. Pretty good with movies. Not always. Sometimes I have bad days, and sometimes I have, you know, really good days. But usually, if it's a movie, I can be like, "Oh nope, that's who starred in that role." And heck, sometimes I can even tell you who wrote the soundtracks. That's one of those weird talents. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling that bronze on that horn. Just to bring it all home. It looked pretty slick. Kind of leaning there. Kind of leaning there. I'm interested to see if the little poll thing worked. I put a little poll thing up at the beginning. Maybe that's why my chat got all funky. It got mad because I put in a poll. I saw that on somebody else's stream and I was like, man, that's actually a pretty slick little idea. And YouTube is always trying to like eliminate any of your headway on getting monetized. So I was like, man, why not? What's it gonna hurt? I don't think it's gonna make anybody mad. So. And if it did offend you, I apologize. It was not meant as in an offensive way. It was meant as a fun little laugh. And maybe some engagement, because that engagement stuff is pretty cool. If you can get it going, it moves these videos around a lot, which is nice. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Definitely got some touch-ups coming on this white still, which is, you know, the nature of white. Just like I said, I highly recommend you add a little something something. And this looks like it was his old nameplate. The other side's kind of fluted like a nameplate. I stone cold missed this hand altogether. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's do it in bronze. Almost looks, with the color of that and all that, it looks very Romanesque. Imperial kind of thing. The magenta needs to be a little bit more purple, but it definitely gives off that feel and vibe. Really makes me want to paint a Mortarion. The model's so cool. Alright, there's a couple places it's attached to his face, so trying to be real careful and pull that out. It's just a little tiny like arrows or something on there. Now, the place I do get into using regular hobby paints is in metallics, because the range of metallics that you can get in the hobby paint sphere is crazy. They have all the good ones. I think the bronze is the only one I have that's like an artist acrylic. Okay, I want to throw some wash on it so you guys can see what I'm planning. So we're gonna do a little test section so you guys can see kind of the idea. Oh, all right. We'll test this leg down here. So first we're gonna drop in. This is our oil wash, the black oil wash kind of thing. And the cool thing about this is we can apply this in, and then if you're quick about it, you kind of take a little bit of it off. Okay, now from here, we're going to add a little bit of sap green as a wash. And some brown and some of the Frottenwood as a wash. And if we have to, we'll come back and we'll do some highlights in our original cream color. This should help us get it to look like it was originally white. But has maybe had some better days. See, and as that dries, it's going to have a brownish, blackish, greenish color to it, but the white should poke out at the very tip tops. And if it doesn't, we'll tone down a little bit of it, or tone down, tone up. We'll bring the colors back by highlighting it with our white. But that's the general idea of what we want to do with that, and you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. Now, of course, it'll mute down just a touch while it dries, because as things dry, they look different. But that's the general idea. So he'll be a little different look than our other Marines that are more of the traditional Death Guard. That way, he really does stand out. He's so far above and beyond as the leader. He'll have that look. So, anywho, I got a whole gang of metal and little bits of that to paint on this guy. I will probably, I don't know if I'll be able to get to any more of it today, so we might be right back where we're at right now when we get in tomorrow, which is cool. No big deal. Good. I get a bunch of other errands and things I got to do today, so I don't know that I'm going to be able to get back to any more of the work on that. I might package paint chrome for Chaos Night. Yeah, for sure. I'm back. Just as I'm running down. So yeah, so we'll get that done. We'll tomorrow we come back and do a little bit more of that work. We'll see what it looks like when we get in and yeah, slowly cranking away on this Death Guard stuff. If I do get some time, I'll just do some little things, polish things. If I can, I'll start trying to get the rest of that wash on there. But that's a very complicated series of things I have to do. So, and you guys might, maybe people want to see that. Who knows? But I can get like these chains painted in and stuff like that. Some of this metallic, we can get that painted in. And yeah, that way we get in tomorrow. We got some fun things to look at instead of just the same tedious things we were already doing. And then we're on to the Marines, the Death Watch. And I know for sure we're gonna kit bash 2 Space Wolves and a Tech Marine. And I'm really feeling like I'm probably gonna turn. There's a captain in Terminator armor, and I think I'm gonna make him a Deathwing Terminator. That we have like a Dark Angel too, and then everything else should be pretty easy from there. We can just do pauldrons and things like that. But I have like a Deathwing Terminator head, the old style Terminator head. It's that scale from the Leviathan box. So it'll look neat. It should look great. And yeah, maybe give him like a tabard, which I think he has one. Yeah. Anyway, Death Watch, Death Guard, Deathwing, Death, this, that, and the other thing. You guys are all amazing. I really appreciate everybody so much that comes and watches what we do. I'm gonna keep cranking these things out. We're at 400. Woohoo! Episode 400. So that's really, really cool. Actually, like I said, I think it's more than that, but sometimes, yeah, I count things weird. I think there was times I double published the same, what is that called, a thumbnail, and so that's how my stuff got off. But anyway, who knows? You guys are amazing. You're awesome. Don't let anybody tell you different. Go out there and be good to somebody you don't know, and be good to yourself. Yeah, we'll spread a little goodness around the world. Maybe it'll help everybody, right? They can chill out a little bit. Anyway, you guys are awesome. We'll talk to you later. Bye.